We are live.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Bro Show Live. Welcome back. I'm Skilbo, and as always, we got the rest of the crew with us here.
Yeah, welcome back. We are here. Some people are still rolling in, probably high or lazy. Red is driving, so that's not his fault. He'll be here. Thank you for joining us, guys. We're going to talk about our grow off. We're going to talk about the Pheno Hunt Challenge a little bit. We're going to talk about hash. We're going to talk about how to build a grow room and not get robbed. I don't know what else, but I have a little bit of a list. Feel free to say stuff. Feel free to chat. Feel free to super chat. We have super chat where YouTube monetized. You can make funny stickers in the chat by paying $1 or some shit like that if you really like the show. Intros would be kind of weird since there's only 4 of us here right now, but I guess we can do them. Eagle, what's up? What have you been doing? We can kind of bullshit a little while people walk in the next 10 minutes.
Let everybody show up. We just kick it, As always, here we go. Check this out. Listen to Eagle sound, guys. You guys are going to be so happy. It's nice and clear tonight.
Ready to talk some hash tonight. How you guys doing?
Doing excellent, man. We're recovering from that Pheno Hunt Challenge Skilbo and I judged yesterday.
Nice. That's always a fun problem to have, isn't it?
Well, it's cool because you get to meet new people and you know what I mean? You get to try different smokes that you haven't had before. You get to see old friends. There we are. The circle, the square, and the triangle. And just for anybody in the chat right now that doesn't know, Spartan Grown, our fellow panel member, was the winner of the 2019-2020 Mendocino Grow Off. Congratulations, Spartan Grown. He'll be over in a few minutes, I'm sure.
Yeah, so they called that the Pheno Hunt Challenge, and he won the what was it? The Science LED Raging Kush light, the best LED they sell. Awesome stuff. So really cool for him. I wish I had that light. I helped him load it in his car. If it didn't fit, I was going to load it in my car and take it home.
Shit. Hey, it only just fucking fit though, man. Like, we literally had to just sort of ease it into the back seat, just barely fitting in there. But that means you made it home safely.
Just had to spit on it.
And there he is. You speak of the man, and he shows up. What's up, Spartan?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
It's going well. We were just giving you props. We were talking about the Pheno Hunt Challenge and announcing that you won that thing. So congrats to you again while you're here on the stream. You won the Raging Kush, won some more stuff, won a 3-Elite book. I don't know if you want to go down the list of your cool thing, dude.
Dude, there was so many prizes that I'm gonna forget. That hat that Skilbo's wearing, this hat.
Best hat. Yeah, man.
Science LED. I really like this hat. This one's really nice.
I like that one too.
And I got like 3 different T-shirts. One from Science LED said the things we could do in a tent. I thought that was funny. Let me think. Kate hooked. Actually, I'm gonna start eating some right now. Kate hooked it up with the edibles.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing I was really happy about, especially the Skittles in particular. And let me think, what else is going on? Man, I put a picture on Instagram. You're just going to check it out. There's a huge amount of stuff, and I forgot like most of the hats and stuff I didn't throw in there, and just like there was genetics in there. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Yep. Yeah. The Bad Dog genetics from Great Lake Genetics. So great host, great people, man. It was a great time.
Yep.
They had all the KFC we could eat.
Oh yeah, man.
That spread, I could not believe it. I was just like, wow. Jeff from Great Lakes Genetics, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hell of a host. I walked over and gave him, what did I give him? I don't remember if it was Blue Cough or, no, I think it was Blue Cough because I gave Skilbo the Baby Huey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man.
I walked over before I left and I gave him like whatever I had left in the bag of Blue Cough I brought. I said, hey, I wanted to repay you. This was an awesome party. He's like, oh, thanks, man. So that was cool.
It really was. It was a good time. They had it nice and relaxed for all of us, and you won. So can't get any better than that.
And that was Drag Boat Jeffy. If anybody wants to go check him out, give him a follow, go check out their page and see what kind of genetics they have right now.
If you want to see the strain that Spartan won with, I just posted a nice macro picture of it on my Instagram page. Really, really frosty strain. Lots of good terps in that, and well deserved. You want to talk about how you did that, Spartan, when you explained to us how you grew that 3 times and noted all of it, kept the flower from every run, how you managed to win that thing was really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm missing chat right now. I've been trying to pop it up, but yeah, I'll do this real quick. Yeah, so what I did was I knew because they pushed back the time of the turn-in that I would have a little bit of time where I could grow multiple cycles. So what I did in my plan from the get-go was to save a little bit, at least enough to enter from every harvest. That was my initial plan. So that at the end I just smoke a little bit of each one and then decide, okay, this is the one that's going to go and it's going to be the best. And then so I had after the first run I had it narrowed down to 2. And in fact, after all 3 runs I kind of had the 2, but the one that I picked from the beginning was the one I entered from the beginning. And but the difference in the runs, the very first run I was figuring out, I did the stupid thing and started a new way of growing. It was similar, but it was a new system. And so that first run they kind of ran out of nutrients really early on in flower. It was a dialing in process. So I adjusted in the second run and gave, I have to back up on that first run harvest, the number 6, which was the entry. It was a super like sugary strawberry kind of overtone, which made it stand out from everything else. Everything else was like skunky or maybe a little bit of citrus, but nothing was strawberry, nothing. So of course I picked the outlier. That's, I got that from Sub, So I picked the outlier. And then, so I said, okay, well, it was really hungry this first round. So the second round, I amended more, gave it more nutrient. Well, it stayed green and didn't want to flush, and it had to go a little bit longer. And that one didn't really get the strawberry. The strawberry kind of went away, got muted. So on the third round, I kind of knew, okay, come back a little bit less. So a little bit more than the first run, but a little bit less than the second run, and boom, nailed it. And when I did the smoke test before I decided what I was going to enter, it was that last harvest. And so the clones that were brought in with that were actually cut off the winning plant. The winning plant was flowered. So that's kind of a cool caveat.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I think the next natural step is for you to get it terpene tested now that you won with it and see what it actually is, right? That's what I would do.
Yeah, when we got the sample packs, man, I knew right away. I was like, this clearly, I mean, I wrote down everything. I tried to do the best that I could because I realized how much time that it took you guys to go from start to finish. It's only fair for me to actually honestly judge this. So what I did was every single morning for the week, and it's been a hell of a great week, is I made sure that the very first thing that I started my wake and bake with was one of the entries. And I did that twice. So it wasn't just a one-time deal. So I ran through all 3 of them, and then I came back through and I ran through all 3 of them. At the end, I was absolutely certain, but my first instinct was yours. Out of the gates, I even told Sequence, I said, these are labeled weird, so we don't know who did what. I said, but there's clearly one that is smelling completely different. So
yeah, he didn't even tell me which symbol, just in case they were all the same. But he goes, "There's a clear favorite here, or clear winner in his opinion." That was interesting on the first day.
So hear that? Anybody wants a judge? Hit up your boy Skillbo.
Yeah, it's really funny that you picked the winner in the first day. The nose knows.
Yeah, that little speech that well, there was a collaboration between everybody at the 2020, but that Carlos was given there. It kind of took me off guard because he was just going through that speech, and I didn't know he was going to announce the winner right then. I was like, I think it was Skillbo took the video or something. I was in mid toke. I just blew out a bunch of smoke, and he's like, "Here's the winner right next to me." I'm like, "What the fuck?" So it was a big surprise to me, but I forgot my point. I'm already too high. There was something I was going there.
That means it was good smoke.
I doubt it, man. I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I already forgot.
You got that sweet 3-Light book signed too.
That's an interesting book. I'm already 100 pages in, and I looked at it for a little bit yesterday, but
your plants are already lifting weights, aren't they?
Well,
he's already gained a pound already. It's only 100 pages into this.
Gained a pound into that book.
Working on it right here, getting some pounds. But no, it's like a comic book. It's mostly pictures and like very little text. So I mean, you can breeze through it really fast.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So
sounds like a Calvin and Hobbes book.
It's kind of like a nice, almost like
tabletop
like
book.
what you would want to do, like a real detailed SOP on every single step of the project. It's kind of cool.
Is it a lot of stuff that you agree with, or a lot of stuff that's kind of way different than what you do? I know that they strip a lot, which is like a big synthetic thing to do.
Yeah, so far I haven't seen anything too crazy. I agree with a lot. The thing that they do with their strip is they don't lollipop at all. So they're leveraging the advantage of the strip where you're getting light penetration when you do that all the way to the bottom.
Oh, so they leave all the nodes.
They leave the nodes. So yeah, I'm only 100 pages in though. I'll reveal all the secrets. But yeah, so that's the one thing that was different that I hadn't seen before. And so that I can see where they would get weight that way. Now it might not obviously be A bud, but maybe you can get B bud out of that. Who knows? So
Yeah,
that was kind of an interesting thing I learned on it. But that's so far, like I said, I'm only 100 pages in.
Cool. Well, we're 12 minutes in, so I guess we can do introductions. I don't know if Eagle kind of did one. Eagle, you want to do an introduction? You want to tell everyone where they can find you on social media, Tinder, Instagram, Twitter, etc.?
Eagle Gardens, one across the board, on all of the above, of course. Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. If you want to look, looking forward to hanging out, talking some hash with you guys. Spartan, congratulations on that win, buddy. That's huge. It's going to be an awesome life for you. And other than that, just rolling up this fatty cocktail joint to sit here and smoke with you guys. Looking forward to some fun chat.
Yeah, I just want to shout out to chat, which I just figured out I got up right now, but I'm surprised by all the women we got in chat today. That's amazing. Usually we don't see too many women growers, so hey, shout out to them.
Shout out to your beard for bringing all the women to the chat.
We have them every week. You just got to pay attention. They know who they are.
Spartan or Eagle rolls great joints too, by the way. That's how he broke himself into this group, was by handing me like a 3-gram king size.
I'm still waiting on that hash joint, my friend. The mythical hash joint.
Oh, it's not mythical. It's coming, buddy. And I've got some fucking fire ass. You actually, by waiting,
I got him going.
Because
stepped it up, he says.
Because I put some Primal Crunch, fresh froze, trim up to make that wrap. So that fucker is going to be nothing but fire grease when that wrap's made. And it's going to be ready for you at the hash bash. Just where I smoked the original one with Spartan, you'll be able to smoke that one again at this year's hash bash.
Damn.
I forgot that you make wraps out of hash. That's right. Do you want to fill in the viewers on what we're talking about real quick, Eagle? Before we do all the introductions I just talked about?
What do you mean, fill us in on the wrap?
Yeah.
Well, what I do is I make my bubble, and usually I'll take around 10 to 15 grams of some bubble hash, which is my favorite greasy layer. And I'll put that into a baggie or a parchment paper, which I folded out into a paper-like size. And then I'll Frenchy cannoli, press that out with a wine bottle, nice hot water. And then I'll throw that in the freezer for a little while until I'm ready to roll that. I have my material all ready. And then I'll break that thing out. I'll rip it from the plastic and roll it up real quick. And then from there, I'll let it sit out and kind of cure for a few days. And then when she's time to smoke, I'll put a little tinfoil wrap around it so everybody can pass that along. I think I'm going to try to come up with some kind of toadstone this year so we can pass it along instead of the tinfoil. But
we need an old Grolsch bottle lid, man. Remember the Grolsch bottles back in the day? The little white ceramic piece you could slide your J right into, man. The original Tokestones. And speaking of Tokestones, there's Red Setter Farm. What's up, bro?
There's Toadstone.
You can't what's up him the second he gets here. He's got to turn his camera on. He's got a mic check 1 2. He's got a
testing 1 2. Red testing 1 2.
Talking about myself. What's going on, everybody?
What's up, brother?
How's the microphone sound tonight?
You sound crispy as always.
Ooh, all right. Pleasure to be here tonight, everybody. What's the chat about? I'm Red Setter Farm. You can find me on Instagram and right here on YouTube.
Perfect. You nailed it.
Awesome.
We were just talking about Eagle's hash joint that he's going to roll for Hash Bash.
Is it going to be the cannoli hash joint?
Yeah, that's what he was. He's
Ooh.
cannoli method and making the blunt wrap out of hash.
So hash bash is the topic right now. I can't wait for hash bash. Here, I don't
Hash
want to
is the
interrupt you
topic.
guys. Keep flowing it out. Flow it out. I'll jump
We
in.
haven't even done introductions yet, bro. We're just kind of free forming here tonight, man.
Right on.
Waiting
So
for the
I'm
Lord.
right on
Perfect.
time. Okay,
Yeah,
cool,
yeah.
cool. Well, it's awesome to be here tonight, guys. I just got back from the farm myself, doing some lollipopping and just good old garden work, scrubbing the floors. You know, same old, same old.
Nice, man.
Happy Sunday, guys.
Yeah, I've got some topics and stuff, but Spartan rolled in a little late. The other show must have went a little bit late, and you rolled in a little late. So we're going a little casual on the intro today. I had some cool stuff that I wanted to chat about. Like Eagle said, we did want to talk about bubble hash and stuff like that. So let's go around the horn and do introductions really quick. Spartan, introduce yourself.
I'm Spartan Grown. Nice to see you guys.
Spartan Grown right there. Find Spartan Grown on Instagram at Spartan Grown. Kate, introduce yourself, please.
Kate, you can find me on Instagram or here on Sundays, and I just am generally having technical difficulties with everything tonight. I'm trying to fucking type in chat, and my text shows up like 3 minutes later, so I'm just gonna smile and be present tonight.
Smile and wave. Just smile and
Yep.
wave.
Just smile and smoke and eat this giant bowl of Skittles I have for myself.
Excellent. That's the perks of your job right there. Eagle already did his intro. Scobo, what's up? Scobo, you're muted. Remember, you're the co-host.
Fail. You know what it is? I got my chat as a pop out. So like I got that grandfather issue where I had been clicking in chat last time. Yeah, man. So here it is. Skilbo1 on Instagram, Skilbo17 on YouTube. Let's keep it rolling. Let's get right into the talks.
Yeah, so the first thing that I wanted to talk about is, so we got people smoking blunts. We're talking about hash blunts. More than one panelist smokes cigarettes. I wanted to talk about tobacco mosaic virus. Does anyone know anything about tobacco mosaic virus? From smoking tobacco near your plants or touching your plants after you touch tobacco products, you can vector tobacco mosaic virus to cannabis plants.
I've heard that. I've heard it's also very rare, but I would be more concerned like if you're around tobacco plants, like if somebody that works at, facility or something like that, then I would be concerned. But I don't think, I'm sure it's possible. I don't think, but I think people are being really, I don't think there's that much tobacco mosaic virus that's getting wrapped up in cigarettes that people are smoking every day. So I wouldn't be like super worried about it, but yeah, I'd be cautious. I tend to not want to smoke, around my plants too much anyway, because it's kind of, even cannabis, because it's like, I mean, I do sit in my little office area, which is by my grow room, but I mean, it's like, hey, I'm smoking it right in front of you while you're alive. I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, it gives a wrong impression, right?
No, you're just showing them their potential. I like to smoke around my plants and think this is what you're gonna be. Like,
The chat doesn't believe that it's a really prevalent thing either, Spartan.
Well, I would think it would be a cross contamination, like Spartan said, where if you actually were touching tobacco and touching that as far as like the live growing plant. But if I'm not mistaken, aren't most tobacco blends aged like a series of years before it's ever rolled up into a conventional cigarette?
They are, but bugs can age for a long time. They can overwinter for over a decade, like cicadas and shit.
My
I think I'll hear that
fungus,
though. When the cicadas come, I'll be able to hear them in my shit before it gets at me.
Is it correct in saying that like most, I don't know, I don't want to say modern cigarettes, but like large main brand cigarettes are typically like paper that has been sprayed with a tobacco resin, almost like a CO2 oil or something like that. It's probably worse derived than that, but I'm sure that it's like that's the process that I saw for a certain brand. I'm not sure which brand it was. Basically running the paper that has been sprayed with let's call it like, it's like a BHO type of extract type of substance that had been extracted from the tobacco plant, and then sprayed onto the paper, shredded into these little tiny strips of paper, and then packed into the cigarette, and then that's what you're actually smoking for that particular brand, which was a major brand of cigarette. So I don't know if it can vector through that, through like already being processed and then put through, but like definitely like something that's, I'd be worried about like fresh cigars, things like that, maybe that do have actual leaves on them.
Don't let WC Fields anywhere near your garden.
Like, what about rolling blunts and then touching plants? Like if you're breaking up backwoods, what do you think about that?
Wash them first. It's better anyway.
Wash them. We do have a question from Sticky Mitts Cannabis in the chat that says, what do people use against ants that is organic? Just wondering, a friend asked me.
I answered it already. I said cinnamon. That works pretty good.
Cinnamon or peppermint oil, and maybe some black pepper oil, one of those things. There's several things that they don't like.
Awesome.
Sweep
I like
the
to add
floor too. Ants are drawn to shit that's in there that shouldn't be. You know what I mean? So like, clean your area. That sounds mean, but like seriously, clean the area, and like, it will keep a lot of pests away that are walking into your room.
ants are a big problem because they will bring other stuff into your room from other places. So you definitely want to take care of that.
Aphids like to hitch rides on ants specifically.
Aphids, you said. The beginning of your sentence cut off there, Red.
Sorry about that. Yeah, aphids like to hitch rides on the legs of ants, typically.
And yeah, like
Bastards.
Canna Kitten said, ants can be lured away as well. But yeah, keep a clean grow environment. That helps a lot.
I've kind of been wondering, I've had some ants coming in. I don't have, I keep my floors really clean, but it's just, there's this one crack in my floor that every now and then the filler kind of comes out, and I get little trailers coming in, and I'll watch them and I'll be able to follow them right back to their hole because my floor's clean. They're the only things on the ground. So I'll plug it, throw some more caulk or some cement in there, and then they'll just deviously come back into the room or whatever. But there's no like sugars or anything like that really that they really want to feed on, but I'm worried that they're going to bring in other pathogens and things like that. So my rooms are totally sealed. I have vapor barrier, the whole nine. I bought these little ant traps, and the ant traps are like, I was expecting it to be like the little sticky thing that they just crawl into and then disappear, but it's actually a little bit more of like a liquid substance, and I'm afraid that there's going to be some type of a vapor that comes off of this thing. Correct? If anybody knows anything about just the little ant traps you just leave out, let me know if they're.
I've used those things, but what I'm going to tell you is I'm sure they're not organic,
Right. Yeah. And I'm a little nervous to have them in like a sealed room with my plants, with me, anybody else that might come in there.
I got an organic solution. I'm going to steal it from M2 in the chat there. She says she's got an organic answer. It's a pet ant eater. If you use an ant eater, hey, that's organic. You might even be able to get some fertilizer out the other end.
That's a
Aardvark solution. Aardvarks.
White vinegar works well as
white vinegar. Okay. We like to have the out-of-the-box solutions here at the Michigan Bros Grow Show with
I
the
like
ant
that.
eater.
White vinegar sounds like a good one. They'd probably want to steer clear of that for a little while.
While we're talking about this, I have another note that how do we reset rooms, clean rooms? What do you use as products? Do you use bleach? Do you use alcohol mixture? Have you moved away from bleach?
I personally use bleach only when necessary. I clean with everything with white vinegar, my glass, my walls, everything. Bleach works well, but it's really toxic and it leaves shit behind. If you wipe down shit with bleach, you have to go back and wash the bleach off. Otherwise, it'll leave a haze that molds and shit will grow on. So white vinegar, you can just clean everything. It works just as well. It kills molds and everything else, and you don't have to go back and clean off a film that the bleach would leave. So that's what I use for my room cleanup anyway.
Yeah, I want to say it was the American one. That was M2 was quoting him or something. But also somebody just brought up a really good one, Tanglefoot. If you get some Tanglefoot for ants, put that around almost like a physical stopper. They'll get stuck in it physically. So that's another good thing for ants. But shout out to Chad again. But it reminded me of nutrient shootouts. Mentioned ozonated water. They basically just dissolve ozone into water. We're actually looking at a unit like that where we can just hook it up to a hose and just spray it, and it'll add that ozone to the water. So we're actually looking at using that at a commercial level. So that might be I don't know if it's an option for people, but it's like, it looks like a unit that just sits on the wall and you hook your RO system to it, you know, and run through.
I wonder how affordably you can get those for like the home scale.
Yeah, I don't pay those things. I don't know.
Not my problem.
I wonder, because I have an ozone machine that's supposed to be like an air cleaner, but the more I read about it, the less willing I am to ever use it. So like, I wonder what that does in
They
water.
I don't know. I know they do DNA damage though if you have them like in your room with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
So
do
live
have,
it,
well, we should talk about that on the air since we're talking about ozone. If you have an ozone generator or something, do not ever be in the room while you run an ozone generator.
But the way, at least the stuff that comes out of this machine that we're looking at, the water, the mode of action is oxidation. So that's how it's cleaning and eradicating bacteria and everything else. So it's, I don't know, I think it's fairly safe. I mean, at the end, you know, once, you know, it's pretty much gets pretty neutral and just turns to water. The extra oxygen, you know, ozone is O3, I think. And so that extra oxygen bounces off, and that's what it's doing. So then it just goes to O2, which is oxygen, and the rest bonds with the hydrogen and makes, you know, stays with water. But I don't know. It's something we're going to try out, and you know, of course, since we're in one of the strictest states for testing, we have to think out of the box. So I don't know. We'll update you when we start using it.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that. And you guys passed testing, so like it's important that you have the right stuff.
It tells you that whatever method they're using is working to pass. So something to think about for sure.
But I like to ask Spartan these sort of questions because even if it's an expensive product, I know that it's one that's going to work and it's proven to work and it's dependable and all of those things.
What is over your shoulder today, Sequence?
The plant?
Yeah,
I think that's citral glue.
I like that picture. That's nice.
Thanks, man.
I want to see those new pictures you're going to be putting up there as backgrounds pretty soon since you got that snazzy camera and that banging ass lens.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I can take pictures at 6,000 by 4,000 pixels now. So that's really exciting.
Going back to cleaning real quick, if people do use rubbing alcohol to clean their rooms, I feel like I might have said this before, but like, you don't want to use the 99% alcohol to clean things because a lot of what you're trying to kill uptakes things by osmosis. So if you have something that's 99% not water, it can't get into the organism you're trying to kill it. It can't pass through the membrane or however it fucking works. So you want to use like the lower, like the 70% alcohol, because then there's enough water in it that the microorganisms and whatever aren't immediately encapsulating themselves to protect themselves. They're allowing that in and then it kills them. So when you're cleaning with rubbing alcohol, you actually want to use a lower concentration of it. So if you have 99%, mix it with water or go hog wild with the cheap shit because it's better for that. Obviously, if you're cleaning like glass and stuff, you want to use 99% because that's more effective. But for cleaning to kill germs, you want to use a lower percentage of alcohol.
I've heard of a lot of people using a 50-50 alcohol water mixture for like cleaning walls and stuff like that for that reason.
I'll use the 90% or above for cleaning or for soaking. Like if I'm gonna soak my scissors, soak my little hash pick and spoon and all this stuff, I'll soak it in the 90. But yeah, I agree. It also doesn't evaporate as the 70 doesn't evaporate as fast because of that water content, which is nice.
Yeah, and I think the 90 is going to pull a little bit of water out of the air too and bring itself to kind of a more better level too.
We had a question in chat. I don't know if anybody else is familiar with Morgan Composting. They do the Dairy Do here in Michigan. But he's asking about a specific blend. I hadn't heard of this one. What was it called? The Rabbit Hippie mix or something? Does anybody use that mix to grow on? He's asking if it's comparable to like the M3 mix, something like that, a water only.
I'm not sure if you can even get that. I know that's a custom blend he had made for himself. I'm not sure if that's available for purchase, but he's a badass grower here in Michigan. He's part of Covert Extracts. That's where a lot of that stuff comes from, is from Rabbit Hippie there. But I'm not sure if you can buy that Dairy Dew mix, but I know he had that custom mix up for himself. I'm not sure if that's available for purchase. Maybe if you
Warlock
contact
says
the
that it's
company.
for sale at 2 different places.
Oh, nice. That's badass. So it's got to be a pretty good mix then if they're selling it.
Eagle says he's a great grower, and I've had a lot of Covert Extracts, and I would have a lot more of it if I had the option.
I was
So
gonna say that's who our owner uses. I think on a lot of our, on some of our, I wouldn't say a lot, but on some of our stuff, that Covert. I mean, that's some legit stuff right there.
yes, sir.
I haven't had the pleasure to try that yet.
Yeah, if you see Covert at a cup or whatever giving out dabs, definitely shoot over there and try it. They make rosin.
That's I think that's where we got our V-Fire cart from. And that was the GMO, and it was fucking good.
Now, speaking of concentrates, I think it's maybe time to move over into a little bit of hash talk here. Eagle, you ready for that?
Heck yeah. Let's talk.
Kate dropped out of the call, unfortunately, but she'll be back, I'm sure. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was bubble bags and hash in beginner terms and how to. So everyone hears about bubble bags and bubble hash and all of that stuff. What does that actually mean? You know what I mean? How can we explain that to a user? In
The
an easy
term
way?
bubble just kind of comes from using water method, water and ice method is the term bubble hash. Other than that, there's several different types of bags you can use. I prefer the straight up mesh bags myself. These save a lot of time. I believe they help you gain a lot more in yield. More importantly, lifespan too as well. These other bags you can get from some companies they're more canvas like. You can see on the inside here, they're not as shiny, more pliable. You have some that are straight up plastic, the cheaper versions here. You get something like this with a shiny coating on the inside, you're only going to get like 1-2 washes out of them. But the more pliable canvas types, you probably get, if you take care of them, wipe them down with alcohol, you can get some good time out of these. But for me, the straight up mesh bags will get you through. And basically, the bags are just filtering out your garbage is what the bags are for. There's different microns that take you through the filtering process. 220, 180 for me is usually my 2 garbage bags. And most hash makers will collect anywhere from 25 micron up to the 160 for their hash. The 160 I don't usually use a whole lot myself. My cutoff's usually right around 110. I catch from 40 to 110 and just kind of put that all together in a full spectrum type hash. But yeah, there's a lot of good ways to methods at your hash as well on how you're going to go about it, either a dry storage or a fresh froze storage. Both of them have their ups and downs. You can get more yield from a dry trim run, but the only downfall there is you're risking a little bit more quality. And the wet fresh froze trim, you get a little bit higher quality, but not as much yield out of it, but a greater yield or quality for sure. Any guys who got any questions? Let's run with that.
A lot of people are asking things like, do you use a freeze dryer? Like, how do you dry your hash? Those kinds of things.
As far as drying method goes, I don't personally use a dryer. I'm gonna actually use this next round. I'm gonna try my Snell machine on drying that shit out. But usually, I will pull it out and I will as I'm spooning it out onto my parchment paper, which is usually on a sheet of cardboard as well, I'll chop it up roughly into chunks. And then as it's drying, every half hour, I'll go back and chop it up a little bit more, and change the parchment paper usually about 24 hours in. Using pizza boxes is another good handy tip for drying your hash. But more importantly, chopping it up into small chunks and drying it out that way. If you're gonna keep it, if you like a full malt hash and you have access to keeping it frozen all the time, you can skip a lot of that process and let it dry out for a single day and then jar it, keep it in your freezer at that point. And it sure is a lot more tastier kept that way for sure. Or you can keep it going with skip the freezer and just keep chopping it up finer and finer and finer until you almost got it to a powder like. And you can store it that way in a freezer as well. Or you can take it back and press that into a temple ball for a more long-term storage. Or the ways I go about it. I like both methods. I like the chunkier. I like it oxidized. I'm not worried about it staying pretty white. You know, I like the more old school type hash myself.
Now, what was the mesh bag that you were using there? Is there a brand on that one?
Yes, sir. That's trichomebags.com is who makes these. And these are cheap for a set of 5-6 bags. I think like $35. And I've had these for years. And this is these are great buy. They speed up time incredibly. On top of the buckets where I've got holes drilled and all that, big time saver. And just they keep, in these other plastic bags in time, if you don't pull them in time, you might end up with a little bit of that inner plastic in your ass. It's just go with the full bags. Save yourself a whole lot of time.
So
And Michigan Medicated wants to know how long you air dry, Eagle.
I like to, before I put it in a jar, at least 3 days, 3 to 4 days. I want to see it out, keep chopping it up. And then after about 3 days, 4 days, I'll put it into a jar and put for storage for a long term.
Thanks, Eagle. Kate, I know you run bubble process. Do you want to run down your process and how you do it? Because I know you have a freeze dryer, and that's a completely different deal when you add that into the mix.
Sure. I wash everything full spectrum. So I use a 220 bag on top and a 40 on the bottom. And I collect everything between there. And basically I hand wash everything. So depending on how big it is and how many times I plan on washing it, between 30 and 20 minutes for the first wash, and then somewhere along there for subsequent washes. I do freeze dry everything. I don't have enough confidence in my ability to dry hash the old fashioned way and not have it mold. Plus I have the freeze dryer, so why not use it? It makes a lot nicer color. If you don't like the old school style of like temple ball looking hash, after you freeze dry it, sometimes, you have to make sure that it's in like a thin enough layer. Even when it's in there, you have to adjust the temperature settings on your freeze dryer. There's like a just go button on the freeze dryer, and that's not the temperature that you want it at. You want to shut. So basically it freezes everything, it warms the shelf, it puts it under vacuum, it warms the shelves back up, water sublimates out. That's how the freeze dryer works. So you want to make sure that the freeze dryer shelves aren't warming up too hot, because then it will, one, cook off some of your terpenes, and two, make the color darker. So I set my shelves to 30 degrees Celsius in the drying process. But then you still take it out and chop it up. You want to keep it in the freezer or at least fridge until you're ready to press it. I use ice extracts bags to wash with, and rosin evolution bags to press with. I have faith in those brands because the people that I respect that do this, that taught me how to do it, use those brands. I'm not necessarily super against other brands. It's just those are my preferred methods because that's what I learned with.
Hey,
Yeah.
I noticed that when you guys did your washes, you were mixing in the garbage can there. Do you guys have the 35 size bags, or how are you getting that water from the trash can to the bag?
So Dinkman Dan, I don't need a shot every time I say it's an ingrained habit. I'd be shit faced in no time. I wash everything Eagle in like a 50-gallon trash can that I modified. So I took the metal part of a shower drain floor and cut a hole that was like exactly that size at the very lowest point in that bin, that trash can that I could get it, so I could drain water. So that sits with the screen on the inside, and then it feeds to the outside to like a series of PVC shit that me and some old man that I didn't know at Menards fit together. I was like, this is what I'm doing to this random old guy at Menards, and he like put his little glasses on and was like shuffle down the aisle. So
shout out to
like
the guy at Menards, man. There's always
Yeah.
that little old dude at Menards that
It
knows
wasn't
what's up.
He wasn't even an employee. It was just some dude there on the weekend. But anyway, so I have like I think it's called a ball valve. You know, it's like the thing that you turn, so I can like the mesh screen makes it enough that it doesn't wash the hash out. The ice out. I just got a bag to wash into, which actually made it much easier. So then I wash everything on the floor, hike that thing up onto a cooler so that I can use the drain to drain it out into a bucket. And I take that bucket and dump it into a 5-gallon bucket with the 2 bags inside. So it's not the easiest process, but it's definitely the easiest thing I've been able to come up with on my own without paying somebody like $1,000 for a stainless steel tub.
Sounds like you just need a stand to put the can up on, and then your bags underneath with that ball valve.
You're getting me in trouble, Eagle.
Do your mixing, have your bags in the 5-gallon directly under it. Just fill it up.
You
shut it
need
off,
to use
fill it up,
2
shut it
of
off.
the fucking milk crates, man. You know, like the sturdy milk crates. They're engineered to be really strong and shit. It'll hold that.
So my bucket bags go into another 50-gallon trash can. So my ceiling is not tall enough in my basement that I could have the bottom of the can at the height I would need to drain into those bags regardless. So I'm not ever going to build myself a stand that's high enough to do that. But I would like a stand.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just had a fucking revelation. Yeah, a motorcycle stand would fucking work excellent for that. You know what I mean? It's hollow in the center. It's perfect. You could
got one?
Your shit, jack it up. They're at Harbor Freight. They're like $100.
Really?
But that,
dude,
yeah,
I kind of hate Harbor Freight.
It'd be perfect.
Sequence got to see me be a Karen at Harbor Freight once looking for vacuum pump oil because
Karen
they sell
moment.
vacuum pumps. I did. They sell vacuum pumps, but not the oil for them. So I was like, why don't you sell the things to service the equipment that you're selling? And the guy was like, I don't know. And I was like, well, your name tag says manager. Like, fucking do something about it.
So funny.
You want to fight, bro?
For real. But yeah, so I would like to build a stand that's high enough up so that I can not have to like heave this bucket up onto currently the cooler that's down there by it. Mr. Noto guy, I reuse water to wash with for that run, but I don't use fresh water each time I wash. So like I don't wash like this batch of stuff with this batch of stuff's water, but I do cycle all my water back through. But so every time you pour off water, a little bit of your ice is gonna melt. So you don't want to dump like all of the same water back in. You know what I mean? You want to make sure that your like ratio of ice to water is still the right sloshiness, whatever that is to you.
I used to do that method as well, but what I found was all the contaminant or particles that I was washing through was coming right back through, and it was getting, more and more of a greater mess as I went on. So I abandoned that process and started going with fresh water every time. And what I found was my 40 bags, after, my first 40 bag would drain fairly nice because there was less particulate in there. But as I reused my water, that 40 bag took longer and longer to drain out. But if I changed my water every time, I don't have as much problem with that. Everything drains as quickly, almost as it did the first time.
To me, that means that your trash bag must not be catching everything.
Yeah, I've never had an issue with that, but I do, like, every time I filter water through, I flip my bag back out and spray it like from the inside out. And I only have, it's like mesh on the sides, and then, or not mesh, but like whatever that fucking
No
canvas.
sequence.
That's the
It's
word.
not necessarily that first trash bag as you're referring to. It's just, if you're using a dry material, if you started out with a dry material, then you have brittle shit dust that's in there anyway that can be smaller than a trichome head that's going through the process as you go.
Oh,
So
right.
if
Yeah.
that's going all the way through, if you keep reusing that, eventually all you get is a silt mud type thing, that builds up in them bags. So yeah, me myself, as I'm washing, if I'm using multiple bags, I've got a separate bucket. I'll put that bag in. I'll spray out all my particulate, several times until I've got all that green out. And unfortunately, I know there's trichome heads in there, the next size down. So I'll take that and I'll dump it into my next bag, or back into the kitty there, and strain it again. So things are getting filtered out. So there's, no matter how hard you try, there's already some amount of particulate that'll always be there. And that's what the bags are for, is to catch the big shit and to push the junk out.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
guess we've experienced a lot less of that because of not running dry material.
Eagle, are you scraping your bag out every time you wash?
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. I spray out my bag as I'm going. I spray everything down to the bottom, and then actually, when I'm done, I scrape everything out. I'll take that bag and I'll dip that in my water and kind of wash some trichomes into the, back into the kitty. And then I'll take that bag right to the sink, wash it down with cold water, and set it aside, and I'll hang it somewhere, and then move on to my next bag. Is my process.
I've never had so first of all, I go buy RO water, which is a huge part of the reason why I'm not using fresh water every time. I can only carry so many gallons of water around, you know what I mean, and use so much for each thing. But I've also never really noticed an issue with it. And like, gross as it sounds, I'll drink hash water at the end sometimes. I abolished Kool-Aid or whatever. I tried making fucking Kool-Aid. So like, I don't think it's like gross water necessarily.
Oh,
ever.
no, not by any means. Not by any means.
But I also,
we're trying to get a clean hash here. And it's not necessarily a dirty bag or the process. It's, you'll experience a lot less of this with fresh frozen material for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But it goes like how long you beat it up for, how much ice you're using, little things like that matter on, how much you're going to end up catching. If you're experience very little of it, it sounds like you're using very fresh frozen material. It's staying frozen right to your cold water. You're doing very short intervals of stirring, and you're doing things right, but as you go along that second and third batch, I don't myself go any further than 3 runs. You can keep washing, but the more you're just asking for more and more plant material. And there we go again. The more you beat that shit up on your 4th or 5th washes, there's gonna be more and more particulate in them bags. So that's just my opinion.
So I think because I go from the 220 to the 40, it's either gonna, like, my 220 bag never gets clogged with shit. I can pick it up, even if there's like ice in there that's gotten through the screen, it's fine. My 40 bag is always gonna be clogged, like, immediately. You know what I mean? So it's like a system of like, you gotta like shake it, like, and then you can make it drain way faster. But it's like a way of like figuring out how to, it's like little short jerks you know, I don't know, Sequence has seen me do it a bunch. So I feel like maybe that's like the dumbest motion ever, but it really is
it's like popping the bag.
Yeah. Yep. If you do it super hard and fast, I can make the bags drain pretty quick. So like maybe it is an issue that I ignore. I don't know. I'll pay more attention to it next time.
No, I agree with you, and that's the route. You lift up real fast, and you kind of let the bag go back down, and then you pick it back up, and you could work your bag out like that. But in your case, you're not even, as far as my knowledge, you're not even passing along the bubble. So particularly in your case, isn't nearly a problem. You're catching everything probably in that 40 bag. It's one full spectrum hunk, and you're probably pressing that probably what, about a 15 bag. So any particulate that you're catching in there anyway, you know, isn't no big deal because it's not making that past that squeeze in that 15 bag into your rosin. You know, if anything, it may be passing along a little bit of terps and flavor along with it. So that's my opinion there. You know, when you're going 2 bags anyway, let me throw that out there as well. If you're only doing a 2 bag catch, I don't think you're going to notice as much particulate because you're not filtering it out bag by bag. You've got one big puck there that you may not in the beginning see until later. A little bit of particulate here and there.
You know, do you guys do anything differently if you're going to run a fresh frozen as opposed to like dry cured product, or is it just ran the same as far as the bubble hatch wash goes? No, it's different.
And I think that you have a much different result. And like Eagle's saying, you got to be much more conscious of particulate when you're running dry material because obviously dry material is going to break apart easier and all of that stuff. I've never seen dry material ran before, so I can't even comment on it.
I run it quite a bit, and there is a few tricks with the dry trim versus fresh frozen. I would prefer to work with fresh frozen. You're going to get a much better product, much more greasy and terpy. But as far as a lot of people let that shit dry out just because they don't want pounds of wet weight, you know, marijuana laying around. And that's another thing I suggest too. I do myself after I trim. I like to lay that trim out for a day, then bag it up and freeze it because I've lost a lot of weight, but I haven't jeopardized any quality before I froze that. To answer your question, dry material needs, in my process, has to go in the machine. It needs to, freeze it first, get it as cold as I can. Then it goes into my machine into super cold water, and it needs to soak for a half hour. And also, I want to throw this in as well. In this process, you're counting on more cold water to do your work here than the ice. If you can get your water right around 40 degrees and some ice in there to keep it cold, you're going to notice a better product. If you pack that dry material in a machine with a whole shitload of ice, you are going to get a shitload of particulate in your hash as well. But the key there as well is letting that material soak and get brittle again before it gets beat up. If you just throw your material in there and just immediately start washing, it's going to crumble immediately, and you're gonna be fighting to clean it out there.
Oh, definitely.
So then on the fresh frozen, you're just going immediately in the water, and you're not even having to, or are you letting it soak the same half hour just to try to get it to the same temperature, or you just run it right off the rip?
No, I straight from the freezer to the machine. Break it up from the freezer just into the machine. Again, I'm not a big fan of ice. You know, ice. The main thing is keeping your material cold. It's brittle enough as it is. If you grind it up in that ice, you're asking for more straight. Yeah. Any other questions like where to catch or when to catch and all that good stuff?
Michigan Medicated said, what room temps would be ideal for running the bubble?
Ideally, 50, 45, 50, if you could take it. You know,
Colder the better.
Colder.
As
Put a
cold as
damn
you
coat
can.
on. Colder.
Yeah. for sure.
Right.
Some guys have bought like freezer units and stuff and done it in that. Or
I just pictured Eagle setting up inside of like a big Sam's Club. You know how they have like the gigantic cooler and you can walk in and get to both sides. He's in there making some badass hash.
the OG commercial guys have set up commercial coolers that they do all their process in.
Growly in the chat, shout out, brother. I see he's saying 45 degrees, cold room.
Yeah, I would say it's got to be warmer than 32 because you don't want it to freeze solid. You know what I mean? So you don't want the water to freeze. So
Well,
somewhere above
if
32.
you're
wanna work
stirring it, it's
harder.
not going to freeze, Spartan. Get your ass to work.
Yeah, you're
Try to-
down to 32. You're back to now. Your water's turned into like a slushy or a slurry, and you're grinding again. You're not knocking things off. You're grinding. So that's my thought on that.
I like the idea of being outside and sticking your bucket inside of a giant pile of snow so that it cools it from the outside in. Just sitting out there with your big old furry hood and big wooden spoon.
That probably wouldn't get too cold, I wouldn't think.
Ass crack in the snowbank, getting it done.
I'd like to point these out right here. These are 1 gallon bags right here, full mesh bags. And if you've got enough material that you're gonna wash, and you're going through the trouble of you're not going the full spectrum like we're talking about a 2-3 bag hash. You're wanting to single out that 73 and 90 for some full melt pads, and you want to know where to catch at these. You want to do even a personal batch. You know what I mean? You're at home. You only got an ounce or something. You want to flip a few grams. These 1 gallon bags are awesome. But even more so, if you've got a large amount that you want to do a quick test run in here and see where you're going to catch them right here. So you can eliminate a few bags right off the bat, maybe, and find out exactly where you're catching your stuff at. So that's just another good tip to save some time.
I like
some
it.
good experienced tips from somebody has done hash for a long time.
Well, Danner1620 in the chat says it's ice shanty tech, so definitely.
No, I like that. That's a really good tip. You can get, with a small run, you can get it done fairly quick, and you can get an idea of what to expect to dial in the, the large run and save yourself a lot of time by maybe eliminating a bag or two. That's sweet.
Well,
Somebody
I'm sorry, Kate, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, somebody in chat had asked what amount is worth running. And I think that like with those tiny bags, it might be different. But I always say, okay, so think about what you're going to expect to yield. You know what I mean? And you can calculate off of that. Like with fresh frozen, you can expect like, I don't know, realistically 3 to maybe 6 or 7 on the high end % of whatever you're washing to come back. So just do the math and think, how much is that going to be for my time? I mean, with those smaller bags, Eagle, I think that might be easier to like justify maybe the different amount of work or doing the test runs.
Well, it's
Or
great because
even
I just
for-
asked you this question just the other day, Kate, on what you can, like, what's the least amount that you can do. So it's funny that the same questions are coming up again in chat that came up in the private conversation about this.
Well, then these smaller bags might be a little bit useful for maybe say the older grower too that wants to make their bubble and do almost like a Kate method where they could do a 5 gallon bucket, mix it up, and just take a picture and sieve it out with the 1 gallon bags in their kitchen sink. That way they don't have to go out into their garage and set up a full hash wash experience there. With 1 gallons, they could do a 5 gallon bucket and wash a few grams here and there in the kitchen at any point. So that's something to think. And another reason I wanted to bring these up as well is they're good because you can go through all the work of scoping your trichomes and all that good shit, but there's nothing like boots on the ground to find out where you're going to catch that shit. Trichomes can be very deceiving on where they're going to be caught and if they're going to be caught, depending on strain. Some strains, they can be covered in trichomes, but the heads themselves may be super thin. So where they hit that water and then boom, all your oils and everything are gone. Them strains, that's like Blue Dreams, a perfect example of that. It ain't even worth washing really. That's better sent off to the hydrocarbon side, where you'll do a hell of a lot better because them oils, you're catching the oils there. But it's not a good bubble hash washer. You know, that's what I'm saying. You can look at them strains all you want, but in these 1 gallon bags, they're going to tell you, even if the strain's worth washing, that might save you a little bit of time right there. You might have a whole shitload of something to wash and realize, hey, I'm not going to catch anything here. I might want to send this off to, you know, a hydrocarbon processor where I can get a whole lot more out of this product. So, you know, just something to think about there as well.
Yeah, you can also do a smaller scale version of that, of just taking like a little bit of bud and ice and water in a jar and shaking it and then letting it sit and seeing what falls to the bottom. You know what I mean? And if it's like nothing, you're probably not going to get shit when you wash it either. So like a smaller scale unbagged version of that.
Rolly says that gassy strains wash better where citrusy strains don't, in his experience.
I agree with that 100%.
Interesting.
Me myself, I like a good hybrid, if not an indica, with the big fat trichome heads that are easier to catch in that 90 and 73 full mil. You know, that's me myself. I'm not a real sativa like person myself. I just don't have the patience to let them go the time they really need to go. So I try to stay to the hybrid indica side myself. So yeah, if I'm gonna run and that's another thing in my experience, a lot of the sativas are better run through the hydrocarbon. You know, they just don't wash that well.
That's really interesting. I wonder why. Do you have any theories?
Absolutely, trichome size, the head size, and not only the head size, the layer of the trichome head. Like I was trying to say there, so I find the sativas are a lot more brittle, and the head likes to just pop, you know, when it's bumped or whatever. So it's just better run the sativas through the hydrocarbon. The indicas usually have that big, fat, thick walled head. It's a lot easier to catch.
Kate showing the Indigo Daydream for Frigoli in the chat.
I've been hoarding this shit. I just see him in there talking about things that wash well.
That was Eagle's thing too. Was
Oh, I love that shit. I can't wait to run into you for your goal.
My buddy got the seeds of that. He did the Frigoli dab of that and then tracked down the breeder, asked the breeder for seeds. The seed bank was out, so he had to ask the breeder directly, and then the breeder mailed him some seeds.
Was
That's
that
the
baked?
back door.
that's fucking determination right there,
Shout
man.
Was
out
that
to
baked?
Yeah, shout out to
Oh,
Baked.
that's hilarious.
It was baked.
Dude, you also still have baked. He has like a baby dab saved of Dogman Troops raspberry chem or whatever it is in his drawer, which is the funniest shit ever to me.
Yeah, Baked wanted me to save the Dogman raspberry chem so he could try to replicate it. It's good dabs.
I will, when I do roll up that blunt wrap, I think I'm going to do a how-to video on how to do that process as well. So kind of keep your eye out for that.
Now, what's your opinion, Eagle, on final product cure? Are you sparking that up right away, or are you, giving it time to dry out or cure per se in glass, or what's your curing process, or is there no curing process really?
Uh-oh, did he forget freeze?
No, I hit the bottom button and dropped the window there. My curing process is, man, I usually start smoking that shit immediately, guilty, and but my curing process is it's good right off the bat. I enjoy it's more full melty within the week or so, and if you're gonna keep it in the freezer, it's it'll stay full melty. But if you're gonna keep it for more long-term storage and you're gonna be lugging it out, then pretty much just like bud, really. You're gonna want to let that sit out, like I said, 3-4 days, chopping it up. I like it in 1/8 to 1/4 inch chunks. And I don't mind that it's brown. I like it oxidized. You know, to me, it just kind of, it's curing and trapping in the flavors in the chunks. But 3 to 4 days till I know when I rip it open a little bit that it's slightly moist but not dry. And then I'll cure it just like my weed. I'll put it in a jar, and every day or so I'll open it up, break it up, pour it out, put it back in after a few hours. And after about 2 weeks of that, you're good for a good long-term storage. And as far as flavors, man, I find it's more representation of the plant right off the bat within that first week after the fresh wash. But after that cure time, it changes just like a good weed will. It will, or a cannabis. I'm sorry, I know you don't like that word. Good cannabis will, it will mature and flavors will come out. And the Temple Ball even is a step up from that. If you're gonna long 1 year process, I think I would take that, good dry hash and Temple Ball and just do the cheese grater thing into my joints or bowls. And that, you'd be surprised. A 1 year, it's almost like a fine wine. You put that Temple Ball up for a year and get back into it, you'll be like, oh man, I didn't notice this before. So it really comes down to preference, how you want to smoke it. If you're that patient, I guess becomes a huge key in that factor, because I know myself, once I do that wash, it's in everything until it's gone. So I don't get no 1 year cures or no shit like that. It's until it's gone for me.
Yeah, when you guys started talking about hash, I just scooped a scoop of hash out of that I just swept up at the bottom of my trim bin that I trimmed the plant today. That's I had maybe an hour's worth of cure, and I was smoking that already.
Yeah, you can actually take that, and I don't know if you dab. I don't think you dab, but you can take that stuff out of the trim bin there and put it in some parchment paper and just kind of press real hard and squeeze, Indian burn that shit into a dab pretty much.
Oh, I haven't heard that. That's badass. I might screw around with that.
Oh yeah, it only takes like 30 seconds to put some into a parchment paper, give it a good hard squeeze like an Indian burn type thing, and you can throw that right into a rig and dab that shit.
Like Fumidor says, scissor hash is one of the best grower perks. True gourmet grower perks.
Immediate usage too. Like when you get done, you got to roll up. We doing something with that, bro.
Yeah.
To me, that's the caviar right there. Is that scissor hash.
Yeah, scissor hash has been getting me fucked up for years.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna be in trim jail soon, actually.
Nitrile glove hash. Before I saw any Frenchy freezer gloves. Yeah, man. Before I saw any Frenchy videos, I would take like my little bit of dry sift and I toss it in a little Ziploc baggie or like a little sandwich baggie, and I put it down in the corner and take it over the sink, get it as hot as I could, and with like a hot towel, and just kind of suffer through it and get it really hot, and then press it on the countertop, fold it up, press it, and then just get it really like turn into a nice little block. I never did make it like malleable or pliable like Frenchy. I think there's just too much contaminant. Maybe it's not like nice, fine. What?
I don't want to
72
interrupt.
micron. No, go ahead.
This is full melt, but now I've had it in my fridge for like over a year. So normally it's like a really nice sand. Now it's like a sticky whatever, but I'll see if I can press it in this little piece of parchment paper that I grabbed to show you what it does.
Tutorials.
Sweet.
Yeah,
you can talk about other stuff.
I was gonna say someone talks so it's not awkward while she's doing it.
Someone say something smart.
Chat's yelling out glove love from the glove tech.
Nitrile hash. I
think that means something else, Red.
Oh, does it? Damn.
I've been trimming every weekend for probably 4 weeks now, because somehow I have 3 lights in my flower room. Somehow 2 got synced together, so they're coming down at the same time, and it's just like it's. I hate it because I'm so used to having nice spread out harvests. So now I've got this big massive harvest that I got to just keep trimming forever. And then when I finally get caught up, I have a little bit of waiting space, and then boom, get hit with that double harvest again. So that's what I've been stuck with, because I'm too hard-headed to leave something without a light empty. I can't do that. I got to keep throwing plants in her. All right, your 30 seconds are up, Kate.
Shout out to science. You got a bigger light now.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna crush it with that. I can't wait. I can't wait to play with it. Like to use blue light to maybe try to stop stretch if they're stretching too much, or use blue light at the very end of the cycle to try to be like a finishing bulb, like we used to do with the metal halides. You know, things like that. It has a. I was talking on the other show, and we were talking about it has a feature where you control it all with an app on your phone, so you don't even have to have a timer. You can control the time on your phone, so it just keeps it. It's badass. But anyhow, you can do the sunset or sunrise settings where it ramps up or ramps down, and we figured out that it doesn't make sense to do the ramp up, but it does make a sense to do the ramp down at the end, because the reason being is your room humidity spike right when lights turn out all the time, because the lights are producing heat, and with the lights turn off, there's that immediate drop in temperature, which raises the humidity. Well, we figured out if you set it to ramp down slowly instead of just shut off, that humidity will be a gradual spike down, and like the dehumidifier can control that spike. So just to play with little stupid stuff like that, it's gonna be fun.
Dude, that makes a huge difference at like scale too, because I do that in my rooms. I mean, granted, I'm not like scaled like Mechanico or anything, but just like, just a little 16 by 16 foot room when all the lights are on and they're all at 100%. And Nanolux fortunately has this little program within their system. You can kind of set all of your time intervals and all of your basically intensity percentages. So when the lights come on, and about a half hour after they come on until half hour before they go off, I have everything set at about 60% intensity, and then it ramps up. A half hour after they come on, it kicks up to 100%. A half hour up until a half hour before they go off, it's at 100%. So like my climate's able to kind of stabilize slowly, and then my air conditioner is also set so that the temperature gets bumped up just a little bit about 15 minutes before the lights go off, that way like the temperature can start to stabilize, and the same with the humidifier and everything. So I like that idea with it. Now I don't know, maybe I'm wasting maybe I'm not doing anything by allowing it to sunrise. I never heard about that, but I like the energy savings idea of it. So I kind of like to do the 60 to that little half hour right there.
Good idea.
But that's another thing about these lights that are so cool, is that you can actually even have the ability to adjust that window that you're talking about. Like I can adjust the time that it takes to do that gradual increase to get to 100% or get down to 0%. I can do 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So I can really, really, really dial it in. And the ability to dial in the room that this light offers, I'm really excited about. So that kind of thing.
Yeah, you rolling in a Rolls Royce now with that light, man. That thing is dope.
Yeah, that thing is really cool. That's a really awesome prize, man. Shout out to those guys for setting up that competition. That's way awesome.
Broly's talking about some other kind of light I've never heard of. Foshe. Foshi.
Foshi.
Yeah, he says it might be the most advanced lights that he's seen yet. So I'm going to check into that, see what that's about too. $2,500.
Oh, he said $2,500. Holy shit.
You know Fergoli's got that money.
Balling.
You know it. He's got those sunglasses.
What's I'm really excited for about that contest window is that now they're gonna give me a pack when they make this cross. They're gonna use my selection, my Pheno Hunt selection, to make the F2s. So, and then when they make the F2s, they're gonna hook me up with a pack. So that is so sweet to me. I can't wait, because F2 is where you get all the outliers, and that's what I love. I love to grab those weird ones. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure.
So I'm excited about that too. And I kind of went that way. I kind of went that direction with my selection. So the F2 generation should skew more towards that, hopefully. See what kind of crazy things come out of it.
Speaking of F2s, quickly, I was sexing my Trop cookies, and all but one of my plants appear to be male or herm. So that's good.
Dude.
So you're gonna start breeding? Is that what you said?
But that one. But
I
that
do
one
want a
could
male,
be fire.
I want a male, so I guess I got a lot of them to select from.
Yeah, but I popped like 4 out of my pack, and 3 out of the 4 were male, and that last one, I think, Herm. So I got another 6 to pop through and see what the odds are. So there's still another 6 out there,
Good luck.
at least in our group.
There you go. It only takes one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm a breeder now. I got male plants, Skilbo. What's up?
Yo, what's up, baby?
You can have all the male plants.
Did,
I'm gonna
did
keep
you
them
happen to
on
find
your
any of those males that were like squatty? The male that I had was just huge and stretched and had like 6-inch interval spacing.
Oh man.
I'll
Yeah, I
check
wasn't
them.
gonna keep it.
They're all
forgot-
solo cup size right now.
I forgot
okay,
to
gotcha.
add sequence. I have very good news for you. The first Mac one showed roots, so I've got some roots on a cut. So if I get one more cut with roots, I'll be letting you know.
You're the
'Cause
man.
I gotta have the backup.
I'm super excited.
And the mother plant is still in veg.
That's a plant that I'm always going to have to grow so I can take pictures of it. If not for any other reason.
Man, you want to figure it out first because she's usually unhappy and pissed.
Perfect.
But until flower, and then flower, she just shows up.
I want sour
Interesting.
garlic cookies.
You got to talk to Matt.
Yeah, I think Matt's got that cut.
That is the one. You want to talk about that platinum jelly from this week?
Oh, platinum. We haven't even harvested that yet, but that will be our next harvest, I believe, coming up. But that, so I don't really, I'm gonna have to get back in there and be honest. I can't really tell you a smell profile or anything like that, but it's one, it just shows out to me. I really like how even late in flower, she's still a bright color of green, even though she's fading. She's still like really vibrant, but so frosty. It's very cookie like, very, very cookie like. The way the structure of the plant was, but the amount of frost that is stacking on this plant is just killer. I think I don't remember. I'm sure I put a picture, or at least 1 or 2 of them up on Instagram that people can check out. But yeah, Mint Canico's crushing it there with the. That was the first time we grew it, so we have a Tropicana cherry coming up in I think 2 or 3 more harvests. That one is really the first one we've grown that is staying pretty short in flower. Didn't really stretch a whole lot. And I am loving it because it'll be the first one that I'm not going to have to be reaching way over my head when I'm harvesting. I'll be able to it'll be a dream to harvest, I hope. Hopefully it stacks really good and gets a lot of weight so we run it again. Because that's the kind of thing I like to harvest.
Did you guys keep that Han Solo burger?
Oh yeah. I think, we're kind of coined the phrase caregiver crafted because we were, all caregivers going into it. And then also, and we kind of have that mentality growing, but then also like House of Garlic's kind of starting to take off with, so all these garlic terp strains. So we're going to hold on to the Han Solo burger. We're going to hold on to the garlic cane and the GMO, the sour garlic cookie. I don't know. We were sitting there talking the other day. We have 6 flower rooms, and I think we were like 1 strain short of filling we could fill every flower room
With
with a different
garlic.
strain, but it'd be garlic. Yeah.
The House of Garlic, indeed.
My GMO is looking pretty strong now, so I'm excited to clone that a bunch of times and put that in my flower room.
How tall is that right now?
I don't know.
Okay, she's ready to take some cuts off her then. Obviously, his hands
You
are
like how I
outside of the
put both
fucking
of my hands
pictures.
outside of the
Yeah,
frame?
man. I tried to be logical about it, though. I figured, she's big enough to take clones off.
Yeah, I was just trying to make you mad.
I smoke far too much cannabis to ever get mad, my friend.
It's a quality benefit. We were talking
Too
about
much?
not too much. We were talking about Spartan's Light a little bit, and I had a note on my notes here to talk about the difference between the different light spectrums, 3K, 4K, etc. Which one should you pick as a light? Maybe what's the difference if you should pick one different in veg or flower, or if you're picking a light to grow full cycle, like for an auto flower or a room that you never move your plants. Does anyone have any input? I know a lot about lights, so I can talk for hours on this one.
Well, let's talk about it right from the beginning. I got taxes coming back and I know I want to start this new garden. Everybody's been screaming at me about, dude, you need to really look at these LED lights. So Kate's down there dying. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay,
You
man,
about to get a full set of nails, Skilbo?
I am too, man.
Some new
Sorry.
rims.
Hey, Hot Wheels, baby. If you know the store Hot Wheels, you know where I'm coming from. She got me all fucked up. So I'm a new grower. I got
Make a
this
big
tax
down
money.
payment.
Yeah, baby. So we got this money. We're gonna get this light. I'm gonna get through this shit. I'm gonna make you tap out first.
Are you sure?
I am. So I just want to go from start to finish because I can't afford it this cycle. Next time I get taxes back, I'm gonna buy another light. So should I start with a 3K, 3,500, 4K, 6K? Who knows? Special K.
So your flower spectrum is ideally 3K for LED or around that. If you have a set spectrum that you have to choose, if you have a super sweet light like Spartans, you can kind of manipulate that, I believe. But like the HLG, you can't. But 4K is really good for veg. 3K is really good for flower. So if you want to do full spectrum, aim somewhere in the middle of that, or pick both lights and set them next to each other if you have that option.
I think for my money right now, from everything I've seen lately, I would go with the full spectrum. Like you said, you could divide it up one way or another, but you never know in a pinch how you're going to use the light later on, for one. For two, there's a lot of research coming out on how effective red and green are on your plant's growth. And they're saying like red can help structure and strength, and greens are helping as well, but just not as penetrating as deep into the plant. So why cut that stuff out? You know, if you can get a little bit of that from the beginning and use the light one way or another, why not go full spectrum? You know, and save yourself some hassle in the long run.
Right. Yeah, I agree for sure. In this case, full spectrum, like Eagle's talking about, is white LEDs, not purple ones. You want a white LED if you want a good LED this day and age.
Yeah, I mean, you can still grow dank under those purple ones too, but yeah, to be an efficient light, you're not wasting them. You should get a full spectrum. I agree, but yeah, if you have the ability to change spectrum, then spectrum matters. But if you're getting a light to spectrum that's, you know, it's locked into a single spectrum, I think it's just best to try to cover all your bases with a full spectrum. I mean, I don't think you're going to get a lot of argument from a lot of people.
Yeah, so your HLG 550 you can get as a 4000K or as a 3000K or as an R spec. Those are all different things.
Well, see, I like the way that we dovetailed this topic together because it's going to go right together with the next one, which is, let's think about this for a minute. Okay, we're going to talk about security and trying to build your room out, where you should do it, keep it out of the way and everything. When you're running these LEDs, you might not have to worry about all the excess noise that you would have to if you had to run multiple fans to try to cool off, you know, some kind of air cooled light. And you're not going to have, I mean, I don't know. We'll get to that when we get to it, but it's a good observation right now to think about. If you're just getting this tax money and you want to start, think about it before you just jump into it, man.
Well, and recognize that LEDs still create heat. Some people or have this myth about them. They don't create heat, and they'll put them in like a sealed closet or something like that, and then their room still gets to 100 degrees, you know. So yeah, it still generates heat. It's thermodynamics or whatever the fuck, science, and you can't defeat science. So
What's the
It's
phrase?
one of
A
those
watt is
things,
still a
so-
watt.
yeah, watt's still
It is, but it's less wattage.
It's
I'm
less
not-
wattage.
It's
yeah,
more
exactly.
intensity, less wattage. Right, exactly.
Let me run you down a plus list right here, Skillball. Yes, they do create heat, not as much heat, but the LED, when you're running an LED over your plant, the plant, because of the spectrum and the way the light hits the plant, it likes a warmer temperature. So you're not as worried about keeping it 75 to 80 degrees. In all reality, plants under LED like 80, 85, ideally. So you're not, you've raised the temperature a little bit, but not a whole lot. You've cut your costs in half. not only that, because you're not worried so much about your heat, and you can close your room off, and the plants like it a little bit hotter. Now, we just said it. Now you can close your tent or area off, and you're not worried about getting the hot air out. So you can put in some, CO2 bags, or whatever, and, step your game up a little bit. You got a double bonus there. You got your LED you're stepping up your game with. Now you can add a little bit CO2 because you're not exhausting the hot air. You're not running air conditioning because of the hot air. There's another savings right there. You're not worried about cooling in the room as much. I mean, for sure, you don't want your room, 90, 95, but guaranteed your plants under LED will still be happy as long as they're shaking at night. So, there's a few plus right there in my book.
Well, let's talk temperature in grow rooms for just a hot second, because somebody out there probably shuddered, on the whole 90, 95. Dude, it gets 90 to 95 outside where you guys are growing outdoor plants anyway. It's not like plants will wilt and die if they get to be 90 degrees or your grow room is. It's just something that you realize it's not going to be able to fully express itself, that maybe some of those volatile esters and terpenes might be removed because you're flowering too hot, or the bud structure might be a little bit different, a little more airier because of the temperate climate that it's growing.
Well, I mean, depending on what strain you've got, some of them will really, really dislike the heat, but some of them can handle it quite a bit. Like, we have a lot of equatorial genetics in these strains we grow. Like, all the sativas and stuff that come from around the equator can handle a lot of temperature. But the ones that have the shorter flower traits, like the indica plants, come from northern latitudes, and they really can't handle that temperature as much. So you got to be careful with some of those strains, especially like autoflower genetics and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's a tricky one because they want that. They're light hungry because they're usually from the higher altitudes too, right? They're usually from the mountains,
and I'm not
so
saying
really
that like 80 or 85 is too much. I think all the strains can
it's
handle
hard
that.
to battle.
Like Eagle's
You
saying,
gotta battle it.
LEDs love that, and plants love being under that temperature. But when you get up to like 95 or 100, a lot of the plants don't love that. So,
I'm not in any way. I've never had that happen to us. Never once have I, unless I've had my tent completely shut up, which I don't.
Right. No. Yeah.
As soon as that light comes up, I open that door just like you see here. And I've never once, even the summer months, had an instance where I've skyrocketed in temperature. But I think then again, I compensate with the night. In summer months, the hotter lights like these get ran at night, and the other lights, the LEDs, get ran during the day when they're like the temperature up, and I can battle that a little bit with fans and whatnot. It's easier to keep the LEDs cool during the day. But even at that, if I were in a more tight area where I could draw a little bit of air from the outside, LEDs could run fine at night, especially up here. Summer night, worst case, 60 degrees. If I can pull in 60 degrees from an outside area into my tent that's only running 90, 95, you're going to get a comfortable temperature in your tent without, again, running the damn thing.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So I just want to clarify a little bit or whatever. We can't really say room temperatures. What we really need to be talking about is leaf surface temperatures, because if we're not talking leaf surface temperatures, we don't know what we're really saying anymore, because we don't know light heights and distances and room sizes and ventilation and all of these things. So really, if you just get a little cheap, those laser that you point at and it tells you
infrared temp gun.
Yeah, infrared temp gun, and just look at your leaf surface temperature and try to get around 82. And that doesn't matter if it's a sativa, it doesn't matter if it's an indica, it doesn't matter what the hell it is, because that's just the scientific best rate of photosynthesis at that temperature. So if you get it at 82 or somewhere near that in that general area, the hell with what the rest of the room is. You know what I mean? Just hit every plant and try to get the most plants into that range as possible. And I think it's not a super exact science, but I think that's the best way to try to control it, and the hell with what the temperatures are, because that doesn't really mean a whole hell of a lot.
So I need to add that to my cart for my tax time extravaganza, right?
Bro, it's like $10.
Yeah.
Like
well,
$10.
so the
and
way
they're
that
super
I was
cheap.
The way that I was taught to do that is put your hand right at where the leaf is and just leave it there for 30 seconds. And if it's hot feeling, your plant is going to feel hot. And if it doesn't feel warm at all, your plant isn't getting enough light, you know what I mean? But if it's a oh, I'm outside and it's like a nice day where I'd want to be outside for a while, that's like the difference you want to be at. You know what I mean? If you don't have that equipment or you can't remember temperatures or whatever, that's a like a bro way to do it.
Well, in the chat, for Girly says, can you guys talk about temperature differences intentionally when running CO2 and or LED?
I know I like to keep my leaf surface temperature in the 80s. I like to keep it somewhere between 80 and 82 because I do supplement with CO2. I keep my CO2 anywhere between 800 ppm and 1200 ppm, usually depending on what time of day it's kicking on, how long it stays on for. Otherwise, I can't really speak to the LED side of things because I have yet to attempt with LEDs, but I run with the HPS and that kind of helps keep my surface temperature up there. But yeah, I want to say, I don't know the complete science behind it, but I believe that the increased temperature helps the plant want to metabolize faster. And so it helps benefit the CO2. Otherwise, without the temperature going up, I think you're just kind of wasting CO2, if I'm not mistaken. There could be more scientific reasons, I'm sure, if anybody else knows why.
That 943 here is ambient. I don't even supply anything to my room. It's just straight in, drawn from the outside there, CO2. I don't think with a 942 right there, I don't think I'd add anything else.
No, that's beautiful. That's just you hanging out down there right now. That's awesome.
Yeah, I used to have that monitor in my room, and I recognized that when I walked in, it'd be around 450 or 500, whatever normal ambient is. And being in my room like 30 minutes, it'd be like 1200 just for me breathing in there.
Yeah,
I wonder, similarly, how long would it take after you left the room, I wonder, for that 1200 to dissipate? I mean, I know that
it's to get used up.
Well, I know that it's going to be dependent upon whatever I'm using to exhaust, you know what I mean, and exchange my air if I'm doing any of that, or if there's like a negative pressure on the room or something. But I wonder, I don't know, I mean, it's free.
I can tell you this much because I run 2 different phases, the LED during the day and the HPS at night. The HPS seems to use less CO2 than my LED side. The LED side during the day, I don't know what it is, but it will drop down to around 650 during the day when the LED side's opened up. So
and you're out there just as much at that point in the day, so it's not even a matter of that. Okay.
No, I would say the plants are using more under the LED.
It would make sense. I just took a hit. Sorry. That makes sense to me because I would think that the LEDs are going to be more intense than your HPS on your plants, and it's going to drive their metabolism faster. So they're breathing harder, basically. We'll think of it like that. They're sucking in more of that CO2 and sequestering that carbon and building bigger buds, hopefully, and everything else. So
that's the same reason why plants will yellow under LED is because they need more food than you're used to giving them.
I love that no matter how high we get Spartan, it doesn't matter. He still always comes through with the goods and the tidbits of real information rather than just us bullshitting about it. Thank you, brother.
I can share a little tip with you. I just learned the other day is, plants, how they get calcium deficient is no shaking of the leaves. If your plant's just sitting there, not shaking at all, the plant doesn't move nutrients like it should. And your plant is more likely to become calcium deficient because just sitting there. But if your plant's shaking and moving nutrients all the time, it's using it much more. It's transferring it out the plant more. You're less likely to see a calcium deficiency if the leaves are shaking.
In a way, it's kind of like crazy. Working out and sweating, metabolizing itself faster.
Which is a topic I'd like to get into the show one day, which is a great way. People don't. No. Diagnosing plants and how to understand which nutrients are mobile and which ones are immobile and how they work in the plant. Because certain certain nutrients are immobile and you can notice deficiencies in the bottom of the plant, and if it's taking up shit that it's not getting, you'll notice that shit in the top. But I don't want to get off into that. That's a great
Oh
topic
yeah, it's a good
for another
topic though.
show.
Yeah, definitely.
But something
don't-
to keep in mind.
Another thing to keep in mind also on calcium specifically, one of the antagonists of calcium is sulfur. So if you're one of the people like I myself, I like using Epsom salts quite a bit. If you go crazy on Epsom salts, you can lock out your calcium with that too, because you can put so much sulfur in there, it becomes an antagonist to calcium and blocks it out. So if you like using Epsom salts, which I usually recommend because I do it myself, just be careful not to go crazy overboard with it. Like usually recommended is about 1 gram per gallon, which is like maybe a pinch or an eighth of a teaspoon per gallon of water. It's a really fairly small amount.
My chat is saying Epsom.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. Epsom. It's magnesium
Okay,
sulfate.
sorry, I was handling a thing.
Yeah,
Same thing, same.
but yeah, there's I like it.
MgSO4 for if you want to be scientific about it. How's that?
Let's see, for Girlie's asking me a question. You guys run Xeritol. I just heard about it from several people. Yes, we run it. It's a fungicide. We use it in the commercial side all the time. Mostly, even at reset days, we spray the whole damn table down. We don't spray the plants with it though. It's like, I don't know what you call it. I call it reset day when you take a room down, and it's a fungicide. So we're wanting to make sure there's no microbials. So we hit the drains, we hit the tables, we hit the floors, the walls. Yeah, it doesn't foam.
party.
Really
Foam
cool.
party.
I have seen a product that foams, and I thought it was really cool because you could just spray this foam over everything. Like, I'm like literally they were walking through an office building and spraying paper, everything, just all over walls, everything, and then you leave and the foam just dissipates and it like disinfects everything. So I don't know, it might be an option. It might be something we do maybe on weekends.
You throw in raves in there, Matt's gonna be pretty pissed, bro. No bubble machines and shit.
Oh, it's a sprayer. It's the sprayer itself that makes the foam. But still, that's fucking cool.
You know, back to the I don't want to get off of the foam party topic because
For
that
Girlie
sounds kind of
spamming our
fun.
chat.
But
Wait, could you make it like a
Spamming chat.
disinfectant party though, like an anti-flu party?
He grabs a can of
Yeah.
Lysol and just tags each other
Lysol
with it.
party.
Anti-coronavirus.
Yeah, right.
College shower party.
I run 2 bloom spaces. So in order, like back to the temperature mitigation, I have air conditioners, fortunately, but you know, to kind of conserve energy and things, what I do is I have my rooms built so that one of my rooms is on the east side of the building and the other room is on the west side of the building. So rather than having one light, you know, be on just at nighttime, some light has to be on during the daytime because I'm running a 24-hour schedule. So what I do is I have the light that is on the west side of the building is actually on in the morning. That way, as the sun comes up on the east, the room that's off is getting hit with the direct sunlight because it will heat up. You know, it's insulated and everything, but it will heat up on that side of the building specifically. And then as the sun sets towards the west, those lights shut off on the west room, and then the lights on the east room turn on. And I try to set these times between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. That way it kind of coincides with sunrise, sunset also. I don't know if it does anything, but in theory, I'm hoping it helps. That's all I wanted to say about that.
Well, we're on the
mitigation,
topic
talk
of
about lifetime.
well, we're on the topic of resetting and shit. I have it in my notes to talk about when to change bulbs. That's part of resetting and something that we don't talk about often. How often do you reset bulbs? And maybe this is another chance to talk about the advantages of LED.
I want to get LEDs really bad because I reset my bulbs about twice a year, once to twice a year. Try to do it twice a year, but if depends on where funds have to be, definitely once a year, or else they will burn out eventually.
I've kind of a question. What do you guys think about? I think it's a bad idea to try to switch technologies as far as I'm sorry, to mix technologies as far as lighting goes, because of what we're talking about with leaf surface temperature, you know, the traditional HPS light in that room, yeah, it provides a different spectrum, but it also provides a different environment around your plant. And it's going to be hard for you to control it to be at a peak environment for that plant because you're getting all this irradiated heat coming off of that HPS that you're not getting off of the LEDs. I think if you're looking to upgrade LED, I would upgrade like a room at a time or a space at a time. You know, keep saving that money until you can do the whole thing, because then you can adjust your humidity control. You can adjust your, you know, heat and uh, cooling control. I don't know. What do you think about mixing? I've never done it. I've always had LED, so I've never really mixed. What do you guys think?
Mixing is a great idea. I've done it, and it's one of the bummers about these fucking weed chats or cannabis chat rooms that have popped up through the years that have come and gone. Because I've lost a lot of great shit that I've logged through the years on these chat rooms that are no longer here. The Dank Den, Mass Roots is now gone. But I used to run it was a 20-foot room that was a nice tunnel, and it was a 1,000-watt LED. I mean, there was no room in between. They were all butted up. 1,000-watt LED, 1,000-watt LED, 1,000-watt 4K, and a whole shitload of LEDs through there. And boy, did I notice the difference in quality. Everything greased up right away, and everything threw a shitload of more weight. If you can afford it, I'd definitely suggest mixing HPS with a little bit of LED. It's a great idea.
That's what I do right now in flower. Is I have a 600, a 400, another 400, and then I have a 4K quantum board. It's like 240 watts. So, but what I notice is having the three different the zones going on, that even though I have some of the same plants in there, the way that they express themselves under the light is completely different. Like I have a Keweenaw copper that's underneath the 4K in flower, and it's just like amazing nose on it. And if I go over underneath the 400 watt, that part of the plant, because it's the same plant, it's not the same. The structure is not the same. It's really, really weird. And then there's another part of it that goes into the 600 area. So that's the chunkiest part. I don't know. It's ghetto, but it's got me by. So, you know, as you're saying, is it would be great if I could afford to do it all at once. But I've done a piecemeal thing ever since I started as a grower. I've always, you know, prided myself as like truly a cheap home grower. So not that it's great, but it can get the job done.
I think go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Back when I did this setup here, it was a 20 by 6 foot canopy. So if you figure, you know, you got your 4x4 footprint with your HPS, I unfortunately it was so tight there. I did Mr. Tight and things all the way through. I would get in there every night, water, spin the plant. So I never really came across one side of the plant doing something, you know, more than the other did, because I was always in there rotating and spinning the plant. It was so tight. When I get done talking, I'm gonna try to find a picture real quick. It was so tight. It was just a beautiful tunnel of canopy, and everything was on casters, and I had to pull everything out one by one and put it in a separate room till I got to the beginning. I'd start watering and push everything back in until I'd close that fucking door every night. So I didn't ever notice.
You were like Beefcake, dude. You were getting your workout in, dragging shit around all night, dragging it here, dragging it there. Yeah.
Oh, brother, it's even worse because this was in an attic space and it was in a huge triangle like this. I had Mylar on the walls. Actually, what it was is the heating blankets on the walls, stapled to the walls. And I had to lug 5-gallon buckets of water straight up a fucking ladder every goddamn night to water. So, yeah, it was a huge workout. And I almost missed it.
Did you at least get some quality smoke out of it that you could sit back and enjoy and be like, damn, it was worth it all?
Brother, if I can find these pictures, I will show you buds as big as my fucking head under this setup. And after I get done talking, I'm going to try to look through my pictures and see if I can find something. They may be on the computer, they may be on the phone, I don't know. Either way, I will get you some pictures, Skills. Well, either tonight or after the fact. I'll show you this one.
Hell yeah, man.
So something I was thinking about when it comes time to convert, I wanted to try to do like maybe vertical towers or something. My room, the way that I have my air conditioner and I have other fans and everything and heaters and everything, I can't, I got a lot of stuff going on my ceiling. So it kind of makes more sense. I think I could get away with having like 8 lights if I went vertical, but if I keep it still on the floor, I could still get my tic-tac-toe pattern and have 9 lights like I still plan to. That's the original plan with HPS. Right now I am only running 6 in the room, but figure a tic-tac-toe board, right? Well, when it comes time to upgrade, let's say you get 1 row of lights at a time, so you get 3 lights at a time. At some point, my HPS lights I keep buckled to the ceiling just because you can kind of run them that way. And then what I'll do if I need to, if the plants are really short, I'll elevate them if needed to put them up on a bucket for the first week of life, and then I'll lower them down if necessary. I kind of do it that way instead of using the pulley strategy, right? So what I'm thinking is at some point now LEDs need to be closer to the plants to be more. Most LEDs, now there are other kinds, but the ones that I'm specifically looking at, if I wanted to maybe go vertical in the future, would have that potential. So I'm kind of looking at the Fluence type LEDs, and they're a little bit, I guess you can keep your plants can get really close to them. Okay. Anyways, without taking this too much further, at one point I'm going to have my HPS are going to be way up here, and then I'm going to want to probably mount my LEDs maybe a little bit lower. And, being a full room, it's nice to have this, like, everything's up here. You have this nice cross spectrum going on, right? Oops, and I'm going to make a bunch of noise on my microphone. So you have this nice cross spectrum going on, which you got light intensity bouncing all over the place. So what I'm worried about is the LEDs being lower. I'm going to get a shadow right here, and it's going to inhibit the HPS from hitting this other tray. So what I'm thinking is it might be a good idea at the same time that I also want to elevate my plants for IPM management. Right now I'm on saucers, which is this, it's this, 13, 14 inch, maybe they're 15 or 16 inches, but that's that much circular space that little critters can hide underneath of. And it also creates microclimates for, I don't know, mold or water to sit and all kinds of stuff. So I want to get rolling trays or some kind of a tray, maybe 3x3 trays or rolling trays or something. So I'm thinking that might be the perfect time to elevate my plant so I could still potentially keep that light a little bit higher to kind of mitigate that whole situation. So I'm thinking elevate the bottom of the plants up with a tray. I can figure out all of the IPM issues that I might be wanting to fix up, as well as changing over and starting to slowly convert into the LED. Sorry, that's the end of that long monologue there.
Go Red, go.
All right, someone say something smart.
Something
Well, I do
smart.
think that the mixed spectrum does work. I know of a lot of commercial places that have done it for a long time, like Treetop Labs. They grow with CMH, LED, HPS all in the same room. So definitely try that. We have like 5 minutes that we can kill before we do final shout outs. If anyone wants to talk about anything.
I'd like to just shout out T-Dog, the artist. I got to meet him for the first time at the event, and he was such a cool dude. So I wanted to shout him out. I'm wearing his shirt today. I really like his artwork. It's like almost like I don't know, almost like a Where's Waldo. Every time you look at it, here I get close, you can kind of see. Every time you look at it, you can see another little detail. This is for Deadhead OG. He does artwork for different strains. So I don't know, pretty cool dude. But he's got a web page. It was twotokes.com, the number 2 and then TOKES.com if you like that kind of stuff. But I really like that stuff, and he's a Michigan guy, so I wanted to at least throw him out. And he was super cool. Like, it was funny how we were like had the same opinions on things. We were talking about concentrates, and I leaned over to him and I said, yeah, usually when I get, oh, who is this? Eagles got a signed T-Dog piece right there. Nice, from the Dank. But I said, when I get concentrates half the time, I just top bowls with it. And he's like, dude, so do I, in the bong. I was like, yeah, the bong. So we had kind of that little stoner moment. That was cool. it's always cool to go to a new event and make new friends, you know.
My
I really
some
enjoyed
cool tattoo is a T-Dog design that he designed for the day. I actually texted him and asked him if he was cool with me tattooing it on my leg before I did it. He said, "Yeah, brother, go ahead." But yeah, that's his design, and the time clock slamming into the ground there. And little story behind that is, I actually fucking hated that image, and I'm still not that fond of it. When he first designed it up and he sub showed it to me, I was like, man, that's right when TGA fell off and the dank was picking up. And to me, that I told him, I'm like, man, that look right there looks to me like a fucking tombstone, brother. I don't like that at all. But he loved it. He fucking loved it. So I sucked it up, didn't say much, and he put it on a lot of the packaging and whatever. And eventually it didn't become as popular, but I thought it to be very appropriate, a way to remember my buddy is to, you know, have that image on me.
Oh, that's
Again,
awesome
I asked him
story.
first, but that's the reason for the image and why it's on me. So.
And those are the best tattoos. Every tattoo that you can sit there and tell a story about. I think that's the only reason to get a tattoo, you know?
Spartan T-Dog did my logo.
The Kraken.
Oh, nice, the Kraken.
Yeah. So as soon as I showed up there yesterday, he was like, "Holy shit!" And apparently he had just hit somebody else up. He won like an e-nail or some shit, and their logo is an octopus. So he sent them my logo as an example of his octopus drawings or something. But yeah, he's definitely an interesting character.
Yeah, he's cool. He came to like introduce himself to me. I'm like, come on, man. I could tell it was T-Dog from the Hat, man. He started laughing.
Yeah. Sequence and I met him at the Clio Cup this year when he was trying to set up his booth. Remember that sequence? Shit was all blowing away and crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Kate, you've got a request to show your logo again in chat. Yeah, we did help T-Dog set his booth up and all that stuff, and he's an all right guy. It was a pretty cool time.
That's a dope logo.
It's always nice to
I
help
think that
people
logo is
out,
fantastic that he did. That's so cool.
Kraken concentrates.
He does a great job. I don't know, maybe someday I'll save up some money and collab with him, and maybe I'll have him do some graphics for maybe Spartan Glue or something like that, or maybe Snow Cane, or I don't know. I feel like I'd have to get the okay from 2020 before I did that, but like some of my unknown strains, like Spartan Glue.
That Spartan Glue is blowing up in veg, man. Like once I put my mitts on her and put the pinch game on her, she's shot up like a moon on it. So I just want to say thank you again for that, man. I'm really excited to throw it in and see what it wants to do.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you got it in the garden, man. It's awesome to see. And just as a warning, she'll fucking do the same. She doesn't ever stop in flower till like week 4 before she stops going. So she'll get tall if you let her.
I'm already running the GG4 and the sequence cut of the Citro Glue. Those are both stretchers too. So I'm happy with them. That fills out my canopy nicely.
I was just gonna say, you've got a GG4 going in there. It's the same fucking story. So yep, perfect.
Fucking yakking it up. It's got this meter up to 1120.
Just full of hot air, Eagle.
Yuck it up, Eagle.
That's the secret weapon. Eagle's just a big breather. He breathes a lot.
Mouth breather extraordinaire.
Smoking on some of this Primal Punch F2. Pretty good stuff right here. Man, I am a little pissy with my dog because if you keep up on my Instagram, I showed that big old wide fucking stem from that Primal 2 there. And I cut it off and I was gonna use it for something. I'm like, man, I might tunnel this out for a pipe or something because it's fat. And I had it laying around to show you guys tonight, and I'll be damned if my dog didn't run off, and that is now his favorite chew toy, I guess.
He's got good taste.
I will not be able to show you this tonight.
You know what you could do? You ever get those hollow ones? You could make like a couple of used disposable chillum out of them. You know what I mean? Kind of bore the end of it out, make them load up. Be kind of sweet, man.
I've got a few of them. I plan to do something with it. I don't know what. They're just so I don't know what it is with them F2s. They all swelled up like that right at the base. I mean, fat. And,
I want to see you do the Mendo dope big ass microphone stand out of one of these beasts that you're growing behind you, man.
Nice. Yeah, well, yeah, it'd be easy to do with that insane the membrane. If you could throw that one outside, that thing would do a mic stand for you, no problem. But unfortunately, in my garden, that dude's out of here. That it ain't going. It may make one more round just because I've got a cut of it laying around. But as far as my experience so far with the ethos, I'm that IOGO. I was pleasantly surprised with that one. I'm keeping that one around. I've got some right here, and as it aged up, man, it smells like pineapple. It's so good. It's so good. The
Oh
better
man,
it
that
sits
sounds.
around.
What was that one? The one that was the pineapple?
IOGO by
Yeah.
Ethos. It smells like a Sweet Island skunk, but the more it's been locked up, it smells super pineapple-y. So yeah, that one will stay around for a minute, but the insane in the membrane, God, you can't even contain that thing anyway. Like I was saying last week, if you let that thing go too long, I've got two of them in this tent behind me. That both of them are hitting the top of these tents. They're actually bent over like a foot, and I ain't got time for that shit. It don't want to be dry.
I ain't got time for that shit, he says. All right, guys, I think that's a good time to roll into final shout outs. I think it was another awesome information dense show. I want to say thank you to everyone on the panel for sharing your time with me again this weekend. This Sunday, super, super good. Spartan Grown, where can everyone find you? And thank you for joining us.
You can find me on Instagram at Spartan Grown or right here on YouTube, Michigan Bros Grow Show. I want to shout out Grim Grower and Tarantula Genetics. They're both on Instagram. They're the other two finalists in the contest. So I wanted to shout them out. It wasn't an easy decision. I don't think a lot of the judges when they were it was awesome. The judges didn't even know who.
Careful now, goddamn it! You're talking to the judges. You're gonna get yourself right out of the next show.
It was awesome how the judges didn't know who was connected to the symbols while they were saying what they thought about it. I thought that was great. That was important. So
did you know who you were as far as the symbols went?
As soon as I heard, I didn't know until Skillbo. When Skillbo went and the way he described it, I was like, oh, I know which one's mine. I know which one's mine. So at that point, then I was listening for that symbol to be me, and it all fit. So I was like, yeah, that's got to be mine. I don't know if it's the winner, but because not everybody picked me as the winner when they were saying it.
No, when they went around, there was one judge that voted. T-Dog voted for a different one.
There's two of them that voted for I think it ended up being Tarantula Gardens. Yep. So he probably was.
Tarantula
second place. He was second place winner probably.
He's a really nice guy, man. We've met him twice now.
I got a shirt.
There you go. You're repping him right there. That rosin cart was freaking good, man. He brought out.
Give me a free shirt. I'm gonna put it on.
There you go.
So I took up enough time. Growers love everybody.
Thanks, Spartan. Red, what's up?
Oh man, trying to engage with everybody in chat. I want to give Chad an awesome shout out. You guys are great. Everybody who's tuning in, shout out to all you guys as well. Everybody else who ends up watching this. And cheers, everybody. I'm Red Setter Farm. You can find me on Instagram, right here on YouTube. Peace out. Have a great night.
Thank you, Red.
Thanks for having me.
Canna Kate, you are up.
I wanted to say thank you to everybody that put together yesterday, Great Lakes and 2020. It was super cool to get to meet a bunch of those people Tarantula gave me a sweatshirt too and a rosin cart. Got that hat, got a bunch of seeds. It was super sweet. It was super nice to be able to hang out with Skillbo and Spartan in person. As always, thank you to everybody in chat tonight. You can find me on Instagram at the Can of Kate or on Discord at the Can of Kate. See you next week.
Thank you, Kate. Eagle, you are up, my friend.
You can find me Instagram, YouTube. Hopefully, I got some new stuff coming your way on YouTube. Other than that, thank you guys for having me along again this week. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Do something nice for somebody and tune in next week. Thanks.
Thank you, man. I want to give give a shout out to Abolish and Miss C. They couldn't make it today. An old man, of course. Thank you to everyone in the chat and all the viewers. Super cool to see over 150 people watching today. Thank you for spending time with us again. Share the show with a friend. Let's see how many people we can get in here. Thank you very much.